Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Before we start, we'd like to just have a moment of silence for the tragic events that have been happening, not only on this past few weeks and on the Waiʻanae coast. We do about 2 minutes, please. Thank you. Let's bow our heads. A minute. Okay, Mr. Endo, you can go ahead with Pule. Thank you. Thank you.
Father, we do pray for those families that are hurting because of all the violence and the shooting that's taking place lately. We ask for them, bring healing to those that are injured. But more so, Father, I pray that you rally our community in unity and love to overtake the violence, the madness in people's heart. Help us, Lord. Father, I ask your blessing over our meeting. May everything be done to honor you, to build this community strong. Bless us, for I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Did you usually sit on his area?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kelvin. Let's start with our first call to order. Honolulu Fire Department, please.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Captain Ishimo at the Waiʻanae Fire Station over here. First, I want to go over a couple questions that were addressed, were asked from the last report. So one of them was, what cause was determined for the brush fire in Makaha Valley? It was kind of it was noted that was undetermined from what it was actually caused by, so we couldn't figure it out. Now, the second question was, does the HFD keep a list of names of the fire starters? HFD does not. We're there more to mitigate the problem that exists over there. HPD probably, I'm not too sure if they actually will keep a list of those names if they actually catch a suspect. Yeah. So this is the confirmed statistics for the month of August. As far as fires, there were 4 structure fires, 6 outlet and brush fires, 12 nuisance fires, 2 activated alarms with no fire. As far as other emergencies, there were 132 medical emergencies, 9 motor vehicle crash or collisions, 1 mountain rescue, and 1 ocean rescue, and 0 hazardous material incidents. That's it for the statistics. The fire safety tip for the month has to do with the move over law for emergency vehicles. So make sure we drive with caution and obey all traffic laws, including the move over law, to help protect our first responders while performing their duties on a roadway. This is more than public courtesy, it's law. Hawaii Revised Statutes 291C-27 required the driver of a vehicle that is approaching an emergency vehicle that is stopped for an emergency investigation or possible traffic violation, rendering assistance to a police officer or other official duties as indicated by the flashing emergency lights. of the stopped vehicle shall slow down to a reasonable and prudent speed that is safe under the circumstances of the emergency road situation ahead. If necessary, the driver shall come to a complete stop before making a lane change. Make a lane change into the adjacent lane if necessary, and if it is safe to do so or possible. 2 lanes over, which leaves 1 lane between the driver and the emergency vehicle if possible. So emergency vehicles are all first responders, police, fire, EMS, ocean safety, freeway service patrol, and tow trucks that are on state, even some state and county vehicles while personnel are working. Any questions?
Thank you for coming. On the nuisance fires, what do you guys consider nuisance fires?
Nuisance is more anything that's like not classified, maybe like rubbish fires where it starts in a container, or just just say like a homeless kind of encampment kind of thing. It's just like rubbish, maybe clothes or whatever. That's kind of a trash kind of fire.
And since you mentioned the homeless encampments, how many of those were nuisance fires involving a homeless encampment?
We had 12 total, but that includes the structure fires outside of fires outside of a structure. So not too sure the exact numbers are on where it started at the homeless encampment though, because a lot of them were just along the side at the beach parks and stuff like that. So we weren't too sure whether it was actually started by, like a homeless.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Corporal Pagan. Corporal Pagan, we appreciate the HPD and all they've been trying to do. Our Waiʻanae coast have been keeping HPD on their toes, and we do appreciate you guys trying to at least do the best you guys can to protect us.
Thank you for that. Good evening, board, members of the community. Corporal Pagan with the Honolulu Police Department, District 8 Community Policing. I am here with your stats for August. In August, we had 32 motor vehicle thefts, 11 in our area, 5 burglaries. Sorry, something's wrong with the stats. 37 thefts. Sorry. 130 thefts, 37 in our area. 42 unauthorized entries into a motor vehicle, 7 in our area. There's a total of 6,935 calls for service, 2,202 of them were in our area. The only thing that I did want to bring up is that we are going to be doing a beach cleanup at the west end of sewers starting on Friday. I believe Councilmember Tupola is organizing a community cleanup on Saturday. And it is my understanding that the Department of Parks is going to be closing that area for, I believe, 30 days. I'm not sure exactly the amount of time, but hopefully the mayor's office will have the exact amount of time for that. Other than that, open for any comments, questions, or concerns.
Chair again.
Perry.
Chair again.
Yes. Go ahead, Wailani, and then Perry.
Hey, Corporal Payne. Always good to see you, brother. Sorry on different circumstances, but my question was on this report, with the incidents, because of the recent violence and the deaths. So would the deaths be on top here too? Because last month we had the shooting up my valley in Homestead, and my nephew was actually the one that got shot at the boat harbor. So I just was wondering, do you folks put that on these reports too?
The stats that we give out to the neighborhood boards and all of our neighborhood security watches standardized throughout the island. It's stats that we normally, the reason why we give you these stats are these are the ones that we can track as far as trends. We really don't track the homicides and stuff like that because there's no real, it's not like we can say, okay, well, let's go in this area and let's make sure that nobody gets murdered tonight on the site. Right. So whereas the thefts, we can kind of, we know if there's an uptick in one area, we can saturate the area and keep an eye on that. If you do go to the HonoluluPD.org website, you'll have information on there. You can do a crime mapping. You can put your address and it'll give you a distance. You can go, I believe it's up to, starting at like 0.2 of a mile up to, I believe, 5 miles in your area. Gives you the stats of different types of crimes in that area. Yeah, sorry to hear about your nephew. You know, as we all know, the violent crimes in our area has kind of gone up in this area. You know, one thing that, you know, we never want to say it's a good thing, but the one thing that we do want people to understand that it's not like people are walking down the street going to Longs and getting robbed and murdered and or assaulted and you know, carjacked and stuff like that. These are things that are happening between groups of people, most of them that know each other, have some type of history, and sadly even domestic violence. You know, so as much as the department wishes we could do something about those things, you know, without knowing what's going on in everybody's house, everybody's neighborhood, it's very difficult for us to target a particular area where something like that may happen. That's why we do ask our neighbors and our communities to talk to each other. Let us know if there's something that we should be aware of. If there's hostilities between your neighbors and you're seeing it, give us a call. We can try to go down and figure out what's going on. Maybe try to do some type of mediation. But again, you know, it's a good thing that it's not just random acts of violence that we're dealing with. You know, like I said, you know, you go to some cities in the mainland, you know, you hear about people getting robbed just walking on the street, being assaulted just because. But again, you know, any homicide, any attempted murder is a bad one. And we want to try to address those. So we are asking the community to help us out. If you guys know stuff, you guys hear stuff. And like I said, give us a call. We'll try to go down, especially as a community policing team. We'll try to go down and do some type of mediation or try to get people in touch with some people that may be able to mediate some type of neighbor disputes and stuff like that.
Thank you, Corporal. Thank you for clarifying that.
Thank you for joining us this evening. To my understanding, I recall something several years ago that the type of party that was going on at that site and policemen had been called. All of this could have been prevented if that tent was removed. If proper departments who may or may have not gotten the report, that could have been an illegal structure. So, and I'm sure the police department have been called numerous times to that area for various reasons, and at one time was gonna have a rave up there or something. So I think there's a lot of maybe blame to go around. Unfortunately, this time there's no ho'oponopono. That used to be common in the community. You know, if we want to be like Hawaiians, we're not acting like Hawaiians. We're acting like Westerners. So all of this crap needs to stop. Need to touch bases with your native roots. If you call yourself Native Hawaiians, that's what we need to do. And it begins with neighbor. Thank you.
I have Corporal Brigade. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. I would like to ask a more professional opinion on your part. If these large gatherings are actually mandated to have at least an officer of the law present at these gatherings, do you think this would have prevented or possibly deterred this from becoming a situation that just totally got out of hand?
First of all, I'm not sure of all the circumstances of what happened that night. I can speak on other instances where we were dealing with large parties in public areas, like at the beach parks and stuff like that. And yes, if there was a requirement that a special duty officers were required to be there at certain size parties, I believe that the likelihood of something like this is happening is a lot less. The sad thing is, and I'm sure if you talk to the Parks Department that issues the permits, you know, if you speak to them as we have, you know, one of the issues that we do have is when people do have a party, say at Miley Beach Park, and they know that there's a certain amount for a permit for so many people, or there's certain requirements for so many people, you'd be surprised how many permits are just one person under that minimum, that number. You know, so if the number is 100, oh, we're only expecting 99 people. And again, you know, how do you say as a Parks Department, how do you say that, well, we don't know, we don't believe you, we think you're gonna have more. And the sad thing is what happens when the party does start, when it does finally start, you know, the drinking is starting from early with maybe 50, 60 people, and it ramps up to 200, 300 people. You know, if we take the officers from Pro City all the way to Kaena, we may be able to address the situation once people start getting rowdy and getting intoxicated and stuff like that. But at that point, it really does get beyond anyone's control, you know, other than the people that are there. One thing that we have talked about and we do ask is that, you know, if there is a requirement for some type of, I mean, just a suggestion was, if you make someone drop a cash deposit for something, if you're gonna have a party at, say, Miley Beach Park, okay, you got to drop $1,000 cash deposit. Anything happens, you lose your deposit. You know, that kind of stuff. I know it's a lot of money, but you know, if you figure something out in that sense, people will tend to manage their own situation. Just one of the thoughts that we've had. You know, I know the parks does have a little permit and a fee, but again, if it's not going to hurt if you lose your money, people are not going to care. You know, you make it $100. Most people say, you know what, I'm spending 10 times that on alcohol. I don't care if I lose $100 for my permit. So again, you know, those are things that we're looking at for boards, representatives and stuff like that to try to push for ideas that would help curb that kind of stuff. You know, Kei Haupu, who used to be the deputy director of parks, you know, she mentioned something about a year or so ago when we're talking, and I never really thought about it, but you know, on this side of the island, you may not have a lot of people that go on vacation to the mainland. So a lot of people's vacations are camping in the summer, camping in the holidays and stuff like that. And we want to make that available for people. You know, we've had situations that takes away spots, like say sewage. You know, if it's inundated with homeless, you take away one of the 4 parks that we have on this side of the island for people to camp. You know, so we're trying to adjust that kind of stuff. But again, we want to make it available. But we do ask the public that, you know, you got to do things. I mean, you know, even on the weekends, everybody knows it's illegal to have a water slide at the park because you're using city and county water. Basically, it's a theft. But every weekend you go down to Miley Beach Park, there's somebody with a large water slide or water jumper and stuff like that. You know, we looked at, you know, maybe we should go after the companies. The companies know they're not supposed to be setting it up. So let's go after the companies. But when you go down there and the thing is set up, what does everybody say? Oh, but what a company tells you, hey, if anybody asks, this is yours. You know, we don't want to get a fine. So you just say it's yours. And then if anything, you're going to get the fine for having it. You know, so again, people are trying to work around the system. But my personal feeling is when we do these kind of things, these are the things that we're showing the public, we're showing the kids that we're going to pick and choose the rules that we're going to follow. You know, you pick and choose the rules that you follow. What do you think the kids are going to do when they grow up? You know, they're going to pick and choose the rules that they're going to follow. As parents, we need to set that example. Like I said, at the last town hall that we had at Waiʻanae High School, I'm not one that believes that we blame everything on the parents. Parents have a responsibility. So do the kids. You know, but again, as a parent, when we start doing that kind of stuff and we're showing that, you know, I'm doing something illegal, but I'm going to do it anyway. And then when the cops come to enforce it, I'm going to give them a bad time. What are we teaching our kids? Yeah, so.
Thank you, Corporal Regan. Got another question?
Hey, Corporal, thank you for that. Very good points. So this printout you gave, I noticed that it doesn't have domestic violence. It doesn't. And you know, maybe neighborly conflict or something like that. So my question is, and I know that this is not at you, so maybe this is for the community and some of our leaders. When we get one domestic violence call or a neighborly conflict call, the police show up and all they do is defuse the situation at that moment, separate them. Is there a way we can create some type of community liaison, some type of position that would follow up on the complaint? You know, hey, hi, my name is so-and-so. I'm here because you guys had a complaint yesterday that police were involved in. And if we followed up, then we could track that stuff and I feel like we could diffuse a lot of it. You know, a lot of the arguments is for misunderstandings. One person, you know, neighbor A thinks he's right, neighbor B thinks he's right. But if we had a liaison come in there, heard the argument, heard the situation, and then kind of inform both sides what was right, what was wrong, we could have diffused a lot of that. And then same thing with domestic violence, right? You know, it's such a deep thing, but if we had somebody following up and just kind of helping diffuse, because the police, you guys are doing such a great job with what you guys have. Thank you so much for what you guys do. But if we had follow up and follow through, then we could help eliminate a lot of the tail end.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I guess it would be a matter of, I think the only thing that I could see might be an issue would be the confidentiality of what had happened and stuff like that. You know, I know police reports are public records, so there's that. But again, if somebody was open to starting something like that, I'm sure we could sit down and talk with our command and stuff and see what's the possibility of forwarding that type of information to someone. And again, that'll be up to the neighbors whether they're willing to sit and talk, right? I do believe that there's a community, I want to say it's like a good neighbor type of mediation program within the county. So I don't know if they're still running. I know they were before, where we could actually direct people to that type of mediation through a mutual party and stuff like that. But whether they're still existing or maybe it's something that needs to be more concentrated to the west side because of the culture and the people that are out here. You know, again, that would be something that, you know, we'd be happy to sit down and talk to you guys about. But
Thank you, sir.
Chair,
So-
I got last question.
Go ahead. Waiʻanae.
Hey, Corporal Pagan, maybe like piggybacking on what Chris was, board member Morocco was saying, but, like for me, when I was growing up, for us adolescents, for us kids, I was cutting out of school. We got checked by the kind, Officer Gray, Officer Kealoha, and Officer Nobrega. You know, yeah, and Mendoza, but, you know, but when we seen them, oh, we was freaking running away, you know, and they would make their point, they would make it their point for coming and, you know, and come at least their presence. So, is there anything like that today?
well, Councilmember Tupolo's here, but I know we've talked about it. The city is trying to work with the state and trying to figure out, because I know one of the things that people have talked about is going back to having an SRO in each school, a school resource officer, an officer assigned to each school that would know the kids, that would work with the kids and you know, you do some type of intervention in that sense. Again, with the number of officers that we're short, you know, that's one thing. The other thing is that Hawaii is a little bit different because the schools are run by the state. The Honolulu Police Department is a city agency. So again, there's a jurisdiction thing. Even though we handle all cases at the school, you know, to have an officer assigned to each school, you know, and if you just count the number of schools on this side, you know, I mean, yeah, we could maybe go with just middle and high schools, maybe a little bit better, easier number. But again, it's one of those things that we'd like to do. It's a nice to have. But the question is, can we afford it with the manpower we have and the money that it's going to cost to run the program?
They were a great deterrent. I mean, because they was from Waiʻanae and everybody knew them, you know. And for me personally, I hated Officer Kealoha more than Officer Gray, but we respect them, you know. So when we seen them, oh, we was crossing our T's and dotting our I's, and you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, it did help, you know,
Yeah.
to some
No,
extent.
I understand, and we've seen it work in the mainland as well. Again, it's just a matter of manpower and money and who's going to take the lead, whether it's going to be the sheriffs, whether it's going to be the Department of Law Enforcement, or it's going to be the city again.
Reason I brought that up, Corporal, because they made it their point for come and check up on us kids, you know, like, so what I'm saying, they made the presence. I don't know how the officers doing now, you know, because I see a lot of them, they're not from over here too. So that's another thing, right? And they're only over here for a short while and then they're gone.
Thank you, Board Member Waiʻanae. So, we have one more, go ahead.
Just since we're on the topic, great suggestions and EK from each board member. Just wanted to add into it so we can have our legislators, elected officials already start the process of putting these things into perspective. Having a follow-up group or resource would be an ideal thing, but again, we can't force anybody to receive services, especially when that's mental health and has to do with health. There's all these other laws that come into place when we're trying to give services. So if there's some kind of work up or something that we can put, if there's a call for domestic violence, if it's a minimum of 30 days imprisonment, then that's going to be part of their follow-up, or that class is that they're required to do some kind of counseling in that manner. I don't know if that already exists,
That
but,
exists. That's
but that's definitely going to be,
Yeah, I'm not sure as far as that would be up to the judge with their probation or whatever.
right.
We do have references and we do provide references, especially for domestic violence type of cases, where there isn't an arrest, a family peace center, and stuff like that. So we do offer some resource numbers, and again, it's not a HPD company. It's just, we provide numbers for people to call. And again, it's up to them whether they want to use it or not.
Thank you. Corporal Pagan, one more last question from the board, and I'll move it over to community. The question I had that has been coming up by both the news as well as community members itself is the increase in gun violence. And one of those questions was, is the increase in gun violence due to the new laws of having people to carry guns? Or is it, if there's a better explanation to it? So I just wanted to pin off of that. Could you explain how these people who are able to carry guns, what is the law right now currently? When can you engage with a weapon in a situation? And if and when will you be arrested for engaging your weapon?
Okay, please don't record what I'm saying and take this to a judge and say this is the defense that I was provided. You are allowed to protect yourself. You are allowed to defend yourself. Again, what's important is that people understand, just like with anything else, if somebody breaks into your house, and you go and attack them and try to protect your family, that's one thing. If the person runs out the door and starts running away and you chase them down the road and beat them up down the road, you're no longer defending yourself. So there's things like that people need to think about. In a case like this past Saturday, the understanding is, well, the question that I saw all over social media was, the guy that shot the suspect that started all this should be given an award and everybody should go down there and protest that he was arrested. There still needs to be an investigation. There needs to be an investigation. And although this is what everybody's saying that happened, he defended his family and stuff like that, great. And if that happens, he won't get charged, and the judge and everything else, that'll happen from there. It is important to understand that even when an officer discharges his weapon and kills someone, he may not be arrested and taken to jail, but he is listed as a murder suspect, until the investigation is done. So we're treated no differently. Personally, I don't believe that the gun violence is an increase due to the new concealed carry law, because we find that a lot of the cases that we're having are people that don't have that permit. So it's not a matter of people defend themselves and stuff like that. So again, it's something to think about. One thing that I've mentioned before in regards to the concealed carry and having a weapon is that, some people, there's a sense of machoism that comes with the fact that you walk around with a gun now. You may not just look twice if somebody stole your parking stop when you're carrying a gun. You can get a little bit more agitated. So there's a lot of responsibility with that. One thing that we teach our recruits when we go to in the police academy is that every fight that we go to as an officer, there's going to be a gun there because we're bringing one. So something that the people that have a concealed carry permit have to understand as well, that everywhere you go, something can happen and there's going to be a gun there. And if you're not able to defend yourself from someone taking your gun from you, there's a very good possibility they can take that gun and use it on you. So honestly, I don't have the stats regarding whether the guns were concealed, but from what we're hearing, it's a lot of people that do not have, whether it's an illegal gun or someone that's not registered or allowed to be carrying that gun. It may be a registered gun, but not by them. So there's a lot of different things that are coming up.
Thank you, sir. And that's what pretty much I have reiterated to the public as well as the news people, that the increase of gun violence, as what we know, has not been with registered gun owners or permit carry owners in the situation. Okay, I'll bring it back to community.
Oh, yeah. We just was waiting for you, the macho man. Hi, my name is Austin Salcedo. Just to validate what happened last month as far as all the multiple shooting, just in 1 month alone, 3 fatalities. So is HPD, because of the shortfall and all that, I hear that, that's a complaint. The solution was because of House Representative Darius Keela and Councilwoman Tupola walked into the governor's office, asked for assistance because of this violence. And what came out of that? State DOD Stephen Logan, and Jordan Lowe of the state law enforcement support. Are you folks still getting it now? Because, and when they came out that first week, I didn't even see mopeds on the road. Why didn't, are you folks, is HPD getting the support from the state? That's my question.
We support whether they're inundating the area like they were the last couple of weeks or not. I'm not sure what their numbers are with that concern. You know, one of the biggest issues one of the reasons that my understanding is why we got them involved here was because the harbor is state property. And the amount of violence that was happening there and that just the rowdiness that was going on at all different hours, and it being a state property and the HPD having to manage that was a reason that we actually looked to them because it was their part, yeah.
Yeah, because as I see, I'm glad that we have our appointed senator cross track here, because I think we need our senators at this level, because it's a joint partnership because of all the state and city type of operations that we're having here. But we need our support from our state law enforcement, any type of state law enforcement, because of the multiple business operation with state and city, schools and such on. I think we need legislation for funding. I know the DOD is funded, but the state law enforcement, I asked for our senator, our appointed senator, come up with legislation, not yesterday,
Thank you,
Today.
Mr. Salcedo. This-
okay?
This is.
We need
HB
that
Thank you. Mr.
support for
Salcedo.
state law enforcement.
Thank
That's
you.
what we need. That's a solution.
Yes, it is. It is. I agree with you. It's a solution. But right now it's just for HPD and we can bring that up with,
Okay, thank
when
you.
Senator time. Thank you. Ms.
Yes, Mr.
Malako,
Chair.
please introduce yourself. Ms.
Yeah.
Malako.
James K. Malaku, senior concerned parent, grandparent, great grandparent. You know, my concern is that before we had this gun law accepted, we had one of the best gun laws in Hawaii. Yeah, the best gun laws. They would make this thing called, we can carry guns today. Yeah. What I like to know is, all of these killings that we had, how many of them was justified? How many of them was in protection? Because I went to all of these meetings, yeah, and the first thing everybody was saying was they want to protect their family. So how many of the people was protecting their families of all of these gun violence that we had? Because I really, what I'd like to see is us guy Hawaii go back to our old gun laws. Because we never had these killings. People never went running in their house to grab one gun, shoot people. But now we can carry guns. First thing that I do, go back to the Wild Wild West. My God. I get grandchildren, great-grandchildren. Come on, gang. We're growing up here in Hawaii. We're not in the mainland. Why are we allowing these guns to be going wild here and there? Let's go back to the old law. You carry one gun illegally, you go in jail, period. That's the only way to stop this stupidity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, Ms. Bless.
Hello, Blessing Star. For Chris, DVC Center uses our tax dollars. We can use them, request them to come on this site, Domestic Violence Center. Use that program. For the jurisdiction part in the DOE, JPO, they can do state and city and county. So they can branch that. Now DOE got rid of JPO,
Blessing,
right?
Blessing.
my second
Yeah,
question.
thank you. But it's not a question to Corporal Pagan. So if you have a question for Corporal Pagan.
Yeah, but, Hawaii does not have stand your ground laws, right? Correct. But we can use our humanity, defend ourselves, correct? Thank you. I just wanted the community to know that Hawaii does not have a stand your ground laws, but we can defend our humanity. Another question, and I'll pull that to you afterwards if that's possible. Thank you.
Okay, my question is,
Introduce yourself first, please.
oh yeah, my name Aaron Kaniayakala. You knew they were firing off guns up there, Mr. Phillip. So did you report anything ever in the last 20 years?
The neighbors.
Only because, wait, let me finish. Only because, drinking and gun violence go hand in hand. So you're on the neighborhood board and you know about this and you haven't reported it.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that. Okay, any other questions for Corporal Pagan? Okay, thank you, Corporal Pagan. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Good night.
Thanks, Corporal.
Moving on to our next topic for our next event is ocean safety. Any ocean safety here this evening? Okay, ocean safety is not here. So we're moving on. Board of Water Supply, Christopher Sugimoto.
Hi, I'm here, Chair.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Sugimoto from the Honolulu Board of Water Supply. I would like to share my report. Okay, perfect. So the main break report from last month, there was one water main break. It occurred on August 12th. It was a 12-inch main. Address was 586 Pilukau Place, and it was installed in 1987. So tonight's general water announcements is talking about Imagine a Day Without Water. So get ready for the annual Imagine a Day Without Water event on Saturday, September 28th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Kapolei Regional Park. Come join the BWS and various city, state, and community agencies and organizations for a day full of activities that focus on the value of water, interactive exhibits including rain barrel workshops, xeriscape plant craft activities, and succulent mini workshops and more. Plus, Ono food will be available for purchase. Admission is free for those of all ages. You can find out more on our website at www.boardofwatersupply.com/OneWaterHawaii. That's the end of my report. Does anyone have any questions or comments for BWS?
Perry, question.
Go ahead, Perry.
Chris, two questions. Swimming pools, now that water is a really big, we need to handle it is like the crisis today rather than wait till later. So if there's a possibility where BWS introduce a bill not to build any swimming pools. And the next comment is the jet fuel from Halaba. Is the Waiʻanae water system impacted in any way, maybe in the near future? If you don't have the answer, can you come back next month with the correct answer? Thank you.
Okay, so for the swimming pool question, I don't have a answer for that, so I'll come back next month for it. But for the jet fuel one, I'll answer a little bit today and then I'll come back with a better response next month. So as of right now, I know like the jet fuel was kind of, we're predicting that it might be leaching towards some outer sources in Aiea, for instance, Aiea Kaamilo wells. Any of those sources, they don't supply
Waiʻanae.
Eva, Kapolei, Waiʻanae, like all of those sources go to town. So if we detect any jet fuel in like that specific aquifer, that's not gonna affect you guys out west. But I'll bring that response. I'll bring that question back, and then we'll see if we come back with a better response. But yeah, that's basically the gist of it.
So there's one good thing why we live in Waiʻanae. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. Board Member Wilbur.
Thank you, Chris, for coming tonight or appearing tonight. There is a current water main break on Lahaina Street right now, and they're actively working on it. Is there any concerns about water being shut off for that community, or how long that they're expecting that to take place tonight?
That I'm not too sure. I can go double check our social media page right after this and see if we've provided any updates. See if there's like a projected water shutoff any services. Yeah, if you can give me like maybe 5-10 minutes after I'm done with this Q&A, I'll type up something in the chat for everyone.
Thank you, Chris. Hey, Chris, I have a question before I bring it back to community. Hey, for the past few months, we've noticed, and not myself, but other neighbors around myself, as well as in different communities, have noticed that a mold has been growing in our toilets. So just wondering, I know the waters is supposed to be treated with a little bit chlorination in it. And mold doesn't normally grow in our toilets, but lately has. And I'm just asking if, when was the last time it was tested or check with the chlorination if it's being supported at the right amounts to our water supply? If you, I mean, you can check on that and get back to us. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, I'll bring back a response for next month because if I'm not mistaken, I believe we go out at least once a month to all the sources to like double check. We take water samples and make sure like it's chlorinating properly.
Yeah.
But I'll bring this back to our communications attention, and then they can kind of and do an investigation. I'll bring it back a more detailed response next month.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I just tired of cleaning my toilet more than I have to. Okay, community, please.
Chair Ledford.
Board members, there's one more. Okay, Ladford, Board Member Ladford.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. I'd like to ask that Board of Water Supply try look into when they work on a specific water line break or any work close to or in proximity of the street lights, can somebody, either, I don't know, police officer or something, help with those lights? Because if you let the lights go through its full cycle, but there's no cars there, you end up backing up all the traffic where there's cars. So I've seen this in the last 2-3 days in different areas in IAL, in Pro City, and then in Nanakuli. So if it's, and I've asked DOT before to do this, if there's any work that's close to or at the intersection, can we have somebody that, because I know you guys hire policemen and stuff, can the policeman jump in there and direct the traffic? Because if there's nobody coming from Nanakuli Avenue, but everybody's building up from heading east from Waiʻanae, it'll be a help for the traffic to continue to flow instead of just standing over there for 47 seconds in each cycle. So could you guys look at something like that? I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, I'll bring this back and hopefully I'll come back with a response for you next month.
Thank you, Chris. Bring it to community. Mike, introduce yourself.
Hey, hello, Mike Eli. I talk about the wells that they're shut off. So they shut off Halava well and what is the other one? Maya well. So now when they shut those 2 wells off, right? So now where they taking water from? From Waihole side or Central Oahu? You know what I mean? And when everything connect, the thing can be all connected, right? So we like know the drought reports, everything like, so how much water they sucking off for Honolulu? Cause that's, and but the naval base, right? Oh, Hickam, that's Pearl Harbor. That's where all the water gotta go to now, cause 2 pumps is shut off right now. And then I get one more concern up Waiʻanae Valley, the Jeep Road, where you guys go up to the pipe like that. The thing is all bust up for like 3 years already. Mismanagement up there on the Jeep Road, cause twisting ankles and everything. The thing is eroded. So if you guys can get the Corps engineer, Army Corps engineer, doing a good job, because the river come across the road, but now when get the culvert, when the water fill up and all that, I think come on the road and I think come all the way down the road and erode the whole road all the way down. So they gotta do a better job by stacking up the rocks. We want one excavator and place the rocks so the water can go into the culverts. So right now, been 3 years, the thing was like that, all boss. Hello.
Hello, my chair. May I ask a question?
Sure. Chris, can you get back with us on that, on a follow-up with that, maintaining the road up where Mike Eli was just talking about? That'd be great.
Yes, so that was the Waiʻanae Valley Jeep Road. Is that
Yeah,
what it
Waiʻanae
was?
Valley Jeep Road. Mike Eli, where is that specifically on the Jeep Road? Is that first tank, second tank? Waiʻanae Kai. Waiʻanae Kai.
It's the Waiʻanae Kai on the right. before you go up to the forest, you know, through the yellow gate, you go by the roses.
Okay.
You go through that road, I think that's what
Backside. Okay.
feed Kahala Farm and, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the road, the thing is all boss for like 3 years already.
Thanks, Chris. If you could please follow up and let us know next month. Thanks, Mike.
Okay.
Board Member Tiana Wilbur.
Aloha, Chris. Mahalo for being here. My question is, if you have any information on the Kuwale Road or Kuwale project up in Lualule, residents doesn't have any of the details, and we would like details of what are you guys mapping out up there, in that area? I can email you the exact location, so that you can follow up on that. But if you can get us the response before next month would be great, and then mention it next month as well.
So that's the Kuwale 242 reservoir that's going up there.
Yes, they said that you guys are gonna be adding something, and so they were concerned on what exactly is happening up there with that particular project.
No, so we I believe it was a EIS initially, but then we're downgrading it to an EA. But then that project is on hold right now because we are in the works of installing another 24-inch water main down Farrington Highway to get more water to the Waiʻanae Nanakuli areas. Because the whole purpose of that reservoir is in case of emergencies, if there's a water main break, the communities won't have any water. So that's what that reservoir is there going to be for. But if we have another transmission main that's bringing the water down to Waiʻanae and Nanakuli, then there won't be a need for that reservoir because we'll be able to still transfer water down to support the areas. But as of right now, that project is on hold right now. But I'll bring it back and kind of see if they can give me another update. But yeah, last like I was told about it, that project is on hold.
Please, thank you.
Thanks, Chris. I do appreciate your time. At this time, we have no other community members for questions. We will be moving on for our next presenters. Thanks, Chris. Have a good evening.
Mahalo, everyone.
U.S. Army Garrison? Any representatives for U.S. Army Garrison? No, so we are moving on to U.S. Navy. Uncle Victor Flint.
Aloha board, folks, full house. Victor Flint, Naval Facilities, and I'm going to try to cover everything today because only me. Let me see. Recent claims about the IAEA well, something, Mikey, that you were bringing up. On July 8th, Water Supply sent a letter to the Department of Health and EPA. Allegedly, there's a plume of contaminants that may be migrating towards the IAEA wells. And this is based on water samples that were taken recently in May. August 9th, the Water Health and EPA requested more info from Water Supply, and that's yet to happen. Navy concurs with the regulators, who's EPA and Department of Health. And we offered many times to collaborate with Water Supply with the monitoring and plume migration. Now, August 21st, Navy hosted an open house. It was in Mauna Loa Terrace. And this was a chance to speak to the engineers, chemists, environmental folks, and other subject matter experts that presented show and tell exhibits on the remediation efforts on Red Hill, to include tank cleaning, closure operations, and drinking water updates. Also heavy in the news, concerns of lead detection in the water. According to the tests from EPA and Department of Health, which is a third party, they regulate the Navy, the water remains in compliance, and the Navy water comes from Waiava Shaft back in Pearl City. And just so you know, the jet fuel does not contain lead. No lead in jet fuel. Navy continues to work with the stakeholders and regulators. Also, we have drinking water long-term monitoring and currently extended the drinking water monitoring to ensure that everything stays in compliance. And I have those reports with me. If you'd like to look at them yourself, help yourself, I'm in the back, or you can go online to Safe Water's website, real easy, and everything pops right up. Let me see. Oh, now with the Pearl Harbor updates. September 20th, Navy is going to be hosting Pearl Harbor Historic Boat Tours. Those who are interested, please contact Chris Tanahara at 473-2877. I have more information in the back if your family, your halal, your church group, whatever would like to go on the boat, all taken care of, just let me know, or I'll give you the contact information so you can speak directly to the person setting that. This is really neat too. This is about wastewater centrifuges. What the Navy is we're working with the state of Hawaii to transfer 2 large wastewater centrifuges to Maui to bolster their wastewater treatment. And these centrifuges separate the water from the sludge. So it's a big help. We sent over 2 of them and everything helps. RIMPAC. RIMPAC operations is that big Navy Marine exercise, largest in the world. It ended in August 1st. But this one is different. The main part of this RIMPAC, or a major part of this RIMPAC, was emergency response for heavy weather, such as rescue, restoration, and other efforts like that. And I'm going to segue into the Hurex drills. We work along with our city and state partners on hurricane drills. Hurricane season is between June and November. And we got lucky. There were tropical storms and hurricane to the southeast of us. And we, thank God, dodged another bullet. Anyway, Navy is ready to assist the Hawaii people in case of an emergency. When the Navy gets the call of help, we'll help. And we pray for the best, but we prep for the worst. And this is a hot issue because Farrington Highway gets tied up all the time. We have a Waiʻanae Coast Emergency Access Route, and the Navy is working with the Department of Transportation and other stakeholders to open the Waiʻanae Coast Emergency Access Route. As a matter of fact, there's efforts to change the emergency access route to a Farrington Highway parallel road open 24/7. Maikai, so we're working hard to make that happen along with the State Department of Transportation. Kolikoli Pass. It's clear and passable in case of a declared emergency right now. Also, that's a thing we're working with the state to improve Kolikoli Pass Road so it can handle a larger volume of traffic in case of emergency. That's a lot. Are there any questions?
Any questions? I do have one question,
Yes.
Uncle Vic, and that's regarding your hurricane exercises. If we, the Waiʻanae Coast, could be incorporated with that, and I'm going to ask the Army Garrison as well, maybe we can actually allocate 3 sites, one in Macau, one in Waiʻanae, and one in Maili. And if they could dedicate what you call tents, generators, and equipment to be set up in those areas as part of a staging and being put up and exercise, to show that it can actually happen in case of an emergency. I'd rather have this in place than after the fact and trying to figure something out.
Roger.
So we'll start pushing that with the Garrison as well.
Tents, generator, what's that third one?
Tents, generators, and water systems, and how do you say that? Toiletry, in case those go out. So just the normal stuff like we had set up in a fob.
Roger.
You know what I mean? A quick fob, right? So minor medical stuff. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Chair, I got a question.
Board Member Morioka, and then we'll move over to, okay, Board Member Wahilani, and then over to Morioka.
Yeah, Uncle Vic, good to see you. So my question is, when you were talking earlier about the conversation of migration of that so-called tainted waters, I know that we get our waters from Pu'uloa, right? Do we get the majority of our waters from Pu'uloa that comes into Waiʻanae?
Correct, the Pearl Harbor
Yeah,
Reservoir.
so my question would be, is there any possibility that any of that tainted water from Kapukaki would come into our moku?
Because of the monitor well testing, we test drinking water from our well. And of course, Board of Water Supply tests drinking water coming from their wells. And with our test, the Navy doesn't do the test. It goes to a third party that goes to a certified lab. We get the results. The Department of Health and EPA get it first. The test that we have, and I have the report with me, Kauka'ohu, and right now our drinking water is clean and safe to drink.
I just was asking, there's a possibility that, you know, that could get migrated into Waiʻanae Moku.
We all got blood and bones in that fight, brother. I hear you.
Uncle Vince, thanks for being here tonight. So my question is, and I, again, this, you guys cannot answer these questions, but I just got to ask them so that they can be heard. You know, this emergency access road that we continuously hear about, there was a lot of people worked very hard on it. And, you know, for the most part, we're thankful to get it open. But can the Army Corps actually do a really, really legit study about building a real emergency access road to get us in and out of Waiʻanae in case of an emergency? Like you said, we just dodged the hurricane. If a hurricane comes, we cannot get through that dip at Pākea. The water is going to be 6-8 foot deep. We cannot get through Kole Kole because the mudslides happen daily. So we essentially going to be trapped. That emergency access road that so many people tout is basically a Band-Aid. It's a headache relief, if anything. It's going to relieve us from traffic. But it starts so far in that traffic is over there at Black Rock. We need something seriously to be looked at and built. Maybe, I don't have the answer, maybe in the mountains on bypass, something legit to really be called an emergency access road. Because in case of an emergency, like one natural disaster, one tidal wave, one hurricane, we trapped. The people on the Waiʻanae coast from Makua to Nanakuli, we stuck. Not to mention the amount of traffic that everybody gonna be panicking trying to get to these access. So maybe if we can look into that. I know it's not gonna happen overnight, but.
I think I got a study for you already, and I have to ask either Kau or Mikey, the hunter. What's that patch called? Pohakea? Pohakea. I show you that study. I have that study. And I have the Kole Kole Pass one as well. And what I'm working with, and I spoke to a few in this group, we want to keep this thing moving forward. We don't want to move backwards. I'm all in for more than one way out. As a retired firefighter, I always look for another exit. So I have that info. It's welcome for you to look at it. And we can recommend that to Ed Sniffen with the Department of Transportation to help move the ball forward. Right now, we looking at Kole Kole, and we're getting a lot of money to upgrade that road, millions and millions of dollars. So, but whatever you want to do, I think I have the info for you already.
All right, and I think I want to hear Uncle Manaku back there because he was giving me some
I know
study
exactly
about
what
that.
he's going to say.
But my concern with Kole Kole is that one turn right there by the metal bridge, the road real narrow, and off the really, really light rains that we've just been getting, we get rock slides, even though minimal, but we get them consistently, weekly almost. If we get one big rain, Kole Kole is out of the question. But I know Uncle Manaku, he does have one, so I'd like to, everybody else can hear it as well.
All right. Go ahead, Jim.
Thank you, James K. Marco again. Emergency access road, everybody's talking about. I made the road. Okay, not everybody made the road. I made the road. Because of mine. Anybody else made the road with me? I made the road. And the reason I made the road was because we had a lot of investors came on Waiʻanae. They were more concerned for us. Yeah? What they did was they overbuilt us. Yeah? Without concern for the community. They overbuilt us. And that's what they're doing right now. Poakea Pass, gang, for those of you that don't live here, connection to the land here, then you don't understand what Poakea Pass means to us. It's in the creation chant of Waiʻanae. Okay? It's not just an ordinary tax. It's a very big tax to us here in Waiʻanae. See, I tried for many years. I've been trying many years because Waiʻanae was a perfect need. For those that lived it knew that in the old days, we had
Stay in the microphone, Manaku. Stay in the microphone because you're going in and
Okay.
out. Thank you.
We had tremendous parties here in Waiʻanae because we were an agriculture community. Those of you remember, that's why I came to live in Waiʻanae. Because we were a family community. I could walk across Waiʻanae. Actually, I could crawl across Waiʻanae, Farrington Highway. And people would wait for me to cross. And it would be only one car. They would stop and wait for me to get across Waiʻanae. That's the kind of people we had in Waiʻanae. That's the kind of community we had. Today we have a different kind of community. Everybody's rush here, rush there. Everybody only think about money now. Now everybody thinking about how we gonna get out of Waiʻanae. Now they like damage my emergency access road. And the emergency access road was for hurricanes. Because, you know, when we had 7,000 people, we had traffic jam. Here in the Waiʻanae coastline, we had traffic jam, 7,000 people. You know how many people we get today, gang? Please tell me how many people. We get over 50,000, 70,000 people here. If we get one tsunami coming, one hurricane coming, I'm a grandparent. I have 21 grandchildren. I have 10 great-grandchildren. I worry about them. That's why I come here grumble all the time. Because only people, what they only worry about is where they going, how they going to, how much money they going to make. I'm worried about where I'm going to get my grandchildren out of here and my great-grandchildren.
Thank you, Uncle Manaku.
So, for me, please, we got to stop this madness.
Thank you, Uncle Manaku.
Because actually, like Mr. Flynn here, there's a sign up there. Whether they like it or not, there's a sign up at Kolikoli Pass that reads, it was built for the people of the Waiʻanae coastline for emergencies. Not for the city, not for the Army, not for the Navy, not for any military, but for the residents of the Waiʻanae coastlines. So, I'm against the community using the whole place. That's why I made the emergency access road, because if we were to just go up all to Panakule and Maile, we're gonna get plenty confusion. If we do it orderly, we can go up to Waiʻanae Valley and cut half of this coast in half, and we can all get out of our community safely, or safer. Then, because gang, we get over 70,000 people here on the coastline. And believe me, if we get problems with 7,000 people, you know, people will say, oh, wait a minute.
Thank you,
I
Uncle
have a
Manaku.
back secret. So
Uncle Manaku,
that's
thank
why,
you.
sir, that's why I made the emergency access road.
Thank you.
And now everybody's trying to chop them up and trying to make it a major road, because now they want to turn it into another Hawaii Kai. I'm here as a family man. I'm not here to make money. Buy one piece of land and then now we're going to sell them for $1 million. Sure, I can get $1 million.
Thank you, sir.
But where I
we
go
have
buy
to-
a piece of land like Waiʻanae for $1 million and raise my family.
Thank you. Okay, we have to move on. We're on a time
So,
crunch. Thank you, Uncle
gang,
Manaku.
I'm the guy that
He is.
they can
I
always
agree
talk
with
me.
that. I can verify with that.
they
Thank you.
calamai for that.
Thank you. Okay. Nani, please introduce yourself.
Hi. Sorry. Just wanting to know if you have any report on how much of an impact, housing impact and land use impact to the Kanaka population is caused by the US Navy.
Can you get back with us on that, Mr. Vic? Kovic? Thank you, Kovic. Okay, moving on to our next presenter tonight. Mayor Rick's representative, Don Apuna. Online.
Aloha. Aloha, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. First, my heart goes out to the community in light of the recent events this weekend. I would just like to provide some more information about the property that was involved, just for clarification. There's no conditional use permit for the property. Since 2001, DPP has received 20 different requests for investigation. We have issued several violations for illegal grading, grubbing, trenching, and in some cases the owner did correct. In others, they did not. There's currently a lien for fines over $587,000 for one of the grading without a permit violations. And then most recently in 2021, we issued a violation for the large tent structure, which I believe is the dome that people are speaking of. So that was cited as well. But again, a lot of violations that were cited at the property. And then I'm just reporting to Mr. Michael Eli. He had the question about Waiʻanae Valley Road, some of the asphalt and grading that was done, I think, on state property. So we took the what do you call it, the latitude and longitudinal, and inspectors they're went out today or they're going to go out tomorrow, and then we can report back what they have found. Other than that, I'm here for any questions.
Perry Christian.
Board Member Perry and then Board Member Chris.
Don, thank you for that follow-up. I'm glad you pointed that out. This goes back to when Mr. Atta's time. So I'm familiar of the numerous violation, but I think at this point, the lesson is maybe the city needs to be more progressive on those violations. If it had been more progressive, maybe this incident wouldn't happen. The dome may have not been there, and those type of illegal business may have not been taking place. Also, whoever threw the party, to me, is also responsible for not controlling the crowd. But moving on from that site, the city wants to redevelop Mayorite housing and Kahumano housing. The city wants to build 50,000 homes along the skyline, and there's much more development that's going to occur on Oahu. I want to congratulate the city. They made Forbes magazine the city best government employer. Don, you're very overloaded with all these projects that's coming about. Maybe you need some relief. I really want you to be our rep, but maybe you need some relief and the mayor assigns someone else, because you are overly tasked for what is demanding of the mayor and his aggressive goals. There's also a software, it's called Real Page, which kind of tell the going rate for rental. And this seems to be across the nation. And the amount may not be what Hawaii residents can pay. And lastly, the core homeless bus. It's been in for a few years. So I know the city wants to bring Honu down here, which was not met, has been met with many challenges. So maybe by the end of this month, core bus can come and service our unsheltered community population. Thank you, Don. As always, thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you.
Hi, Don. Thank you for being here tonight. So Don, pardon me for taking a pause. I'm just trying to process what you said. Since 2001, we're receiving complaints and the fines total over $500,000. At what point the city gonna start doing something?
So I think the next step would be, I mean, we did take a lien out. I think the next step might be foreclosure. But after that, that's kind of the everything in DPP's, I'd say, like artillery of what the enforcement actions we have. But there may be other ways, but yeah, I think this one seems to be each case is different, so we have to just evaluate what we think would be appropriate and what would provide more compliance.
You know, Don, each case is different. I understand that. And I'm not saying in any way that this would or would not have been prevented. What I am saying is, why is the city tracking these things, but not aggressively doing something about it? I mean, if this one particular incident or property has that kind of fines, I gotta imagine there's more out there that you guys know about. Why aren't you guys doing anything about it? Why aren't you guys being proactive? Everything seems like it's reactive.
Well, I think, and that's a good question. This is the processes that are set up within the ordinances for us to follow. I think if I'm not sure what could be more than, because we have civil enforcement. So we do the process. First, it's a notice of violation, then it moves to fines, and then liens, and potentially other actions. But other than what's given to us through the law, there's not a lot more that we can do, at least within my department. Then there's the criminal side, right? HPD, prosecutors, if the situation calls for it. But I understand your frustration, but I do believe in this case we did much of everything that we were supposed to. When we received a request for investigation, we went out, and if we found a violation, we cited. If they did not correct, then we issued fines, then moved to lien. So I think we are doing what we are required to do under the law, but if there's more that we can do, if there's more, maybe it's a policy issue, we need to create additional enforcement actions. But yeah, and I think we're trying to work more collaboratively with other departments as well.
Chair Perry.
Don, thank you for that. I guess, what I'm having a hard time swallow here is you guys tracking, you guys doing this, you guys doing that. $500,000 in 23 years. Feel like in that time, somebody should have done something.
Yeah.
I mean, I really, and I hate to sound so rude, but $500,000 in 23 years. You don't need to answer that. Just let that simmer.
No, I understand, but it didn't start from 23 years ago. The 500,000 that was built up over time. But I understand, and I understand the frustration. But we will continue to serve the community as best we can.
Thank you, Don. Board Member Perry.
Don, maybe if the next step, if it's corporate counsel, maybe there's pressure needs to go in that direction if that's the next legal action. or Attorney General. At this time, I would suggest a cooling off period. I know it was been pending for several years. I think at this time, rather than going in at this time and moment, it needs a cooling off period. Thank you.
Okay, Don, just a few more questions from my end from community members that had come up. And then we're gonna move into community. First one was the agricultural properties. Is there any specific laws that prevent gatherings in these properties? I guess it more concerned regarding commercial gatherings. So this individual's property was used as a commercial area for gatherings, and that's a cultural thing we need on our side of the island, and we respect that, and we don't want that to go away. But what we want is further, how do you say that, policies that go in place with it. So if it is, it's something that you guys hand out permits for, is there extended policies that could be adapted to it to prevent further issues like this one happening? So for example, having off-duty officers present at any of these gatherings, or any public gatherings, not just on agricultural properties, but any public permits that is being pulled for specific gatherings. We're just looking at not limiting or not preventing these gatherings from happening because it's a cultural thing and we believe in it. And our community deserves that to happen, and our right to have gatherings. But we just want to make sure that they can gather with respect to the communities and not have, it's a safe haven, right? A safe haven gathering, and not have to worry about violent situations like this from happening.
Chair, again, comment.
Thanks, Don. Go ahead, Board Member Waiʻanae.
Hey, Don, sorry on the firing seat tonight. Just like reiterate what fellow board member Muraoka was talking about. You know, you had things that was transpired on paper from 2001 to this property, and you know, and other things that had happened during the lockdown in COVID when had the raves was going on, and you know, and so you had. But the bottom line is it was just tragic, and we lost 4 Waiʻanae community members, long-standing families, and that's just sad. And the Waiʻanae hurting right now. So if there's anything that you guys can do for help alleviate anyone, even HPD, or I'm glad we get Angelovia or Cross Crab, but bottom line, we freaking hurting. So just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, so thank you. And I think, you know, what HPD had mentioned earlier, and this is something so DPP, we deal with landowners and oftentimes neighbors, when they don't see eye to eye, they try to use DPP enforcement against each other. And a lot of times there are violations, but sometimes, you know, parties need to come to the table and work it out. And we do that on occasion at DPP, that the neighbors are fighting, and really they got to come together and work together as humans. So like I said, we do that on occasion. I think that has to happen a lot more often, that people need to realize, instead of standing, you know, against each other, that we have to live together, we're neighbors, etc. So, and I understand the community is hurting. My heart does go out to all of you.
Thank you, Don. Moving to community online, Jermaine Myers.
Mahalo, Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Don, for your report to every one of the board members and community members earlier. Some of them have voiced my concern, but what I wanted to get clarified was, I can understand gathering is protected when it's residents. When we, the residents of Hawaii, are gathering with our ohana or with our extended ohana, then I would assume that is lawful. But when we're doing it for a profit, commercial business, is that covered under agriculture that agricultural residential land, that you can have a commercial business. That's number one question. Is that permissible? Number two is the extent of the enforcement, because there's one thing for neighbor to get along with neighbor. We're going to have a party, graduation party, baby shower. You know, we're going to have these different celebrations throughout the year, one family in one property. But in this case, this is a for-profit entity, and they're having it more than often. And these are outsiders coming to our island, tourists or people from the other sides of the island, and they're making money from it. So what is the extent of enforcement when it's on residential agriculture land, when it's a commercial rental party entity for profit? That's my question. And then if you can respond to that next month. And then the other question, so how many citations were given to this entity whenever there's HPD going up there, not to resolve neighbor for neighbor, but for neighbor regarding an outside entity renting the property and causing havoc in the community, in the neighborhood? Then the last thing I have a question about has to do with the Hawaii State Library. I heard last month that somebody had asked you and you were reporting back about the glass door was broken for about a year.
Yeah.
Was that referred to our state representative for 45, District 45? Was that reported to our senator? Where did that, why is the door been broken, the glass door been broken? It's not like air conditioning, it's just a glass door. And so I was just wondering, can you kind of give me update about that? Who was it referred to?
Yes, so that is definitely a state issue. So that would, I think it was referred back to the state. I'm not sure I think after we spoke about that someone in the meeting from the state had a response. And then just real generally for in that generally, I mean, it depends on the specific parcel and the use, but if it's an agricultural lot, commercial operations like they're generally not allowed unless it's like an accessory farm or agricultural use. Same with residential, it should be residential and not commercial operation. So it all depends. And then there's also, you know, there's some luau's, commercial luau's in certain agricultural and residential areas that are not permitted, but at the same time, we may need to create policies that allow it in certain areas under certain circumstances and guardrails that protect the community, but allow that type of gathering if that is something the community thinks is appropriate in those types of zoning areas.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks, Don. I appreciate that, Nani. And then we'll go over to Blessing. Oh, go ahead, Blessing.
Hi, blessings. In due respect to the family, I ask that you guys are aware that this is under investigation. And so in due respect to the family, please minimize all the possible accusations and whatnot, so it does not spiral out there. We all are hurting, what we said. Just be cautious, understand with the mayor and everything. Well, my standpoint is the legislative, the laws has to get changed. The political people gotta
Okay,
change.
Ms.
Thank you.
Blessing, thank you. Thank you.
Aloha mai kako. O Waiʻanae, sorry, I never introduced myself the last time. Quick question to the mayor's rep real quick. Mahalo. How much of the current behaviors was caused by the mayor's comments at the Waiʻanae Town Hall, paraphrasing, community needs to take back their community? 1. 2, just lost lives. Right, we had a little moment of silence for them and respect to them, and then we come right back and bam, attack them with these freaking bullshit fines. These people were here way before us, way before me. They've been here way before the state, the federal, the city and county. We're in a colonized world, people, right now. We're handling our problems in a colonized way. That's not our way. That's what we're going around in this bullshit circle. Sorry for my language, but it's frustrating. It's frustrating because we're missing the whole point of who we are, culture. In our culture, we're really missing that understanding. And we're reverting back to the colonizers' way of handling our nations. Why? That $5 million, whatever, $500,000 bill in the city, the state, or the federal, they don't belong here. That's the truth. That's the truth. They don't belong here. And we're still allowing all this bullshit to run our lives. Oh,
Sorry, Nani. This.
I'm sorry, Philip.
Point of order,
If you
so
can answer that
swearing.
question. Mahalo.
Thank you. Next, please introduce yourself, please.
Good evening. My name is Edmund. Maybe I'm mentioning this a little bit too early because there haven't even been funeral services. But Ms. Apana had mentioned that there's a lot of outstanding monetary citations in the neighborhood of $500,000. So now that Mr. Silva is dead, does he still have to pay that off, or does the state have to pay that off? Is that still due, Ms. Apana? And let's be honest here. I think it's safe to say the Kiamo family will probably be filing a wrongful death lawsuit, right? To damage to their house, their vehicles, as well as the loss of life. Right? So does that,
Can you, sir, please?
Yeah.
This isn't really the time to actually, we're talking about issues to.
Yeah,
city.
well, okay, we can,
Okay,
it's
so-
outstanding citations. And
Okay,
is
can we
those
keep
debts
it,
due?
can we keep it to the citations that is
Yeah.
for the city itself? And you address that. So now let's move
Okay,
forward.
I'll forget
Let's
about
not-
the wrongful death.
Please,
lawsuit.
exactly, please.
Okay, I
that's-
apologize for
thank
that. So does the city still will be collecting those citations?
Thank you.
So, the landowner, whoever owns the land, will continue to be responsible for those citations and fines.
Thank you. Thank you, Don. Senator Favela.
I just like to ask everybody to continue to pray for the families that lost, and people that's going over there and representing my family up there in the valley, to please knock it off. Stay off of social media. Stop talking smack and saying that you represent them and you're speaking for them. I just came from the valley and they said nobody had permission. Just like how HPD had no permission to leak the video that was from their home. It was given in confidence under the investigation and it was leaked. And I did bring this up to Chief Logan and a lot of other people, including the mayor, on how this was taking place and how we can be able to trust. We have great persons like Corporal Pagan here working hard to making us to trust in HPD. And then we have a tragedy so devastating to this community and my family and the Silva family. And then this stuff happens by leaking it. It's wrong. And you know, Philip, I just gonna say this, and I don't know what and who brought you up there to say that you represented the family. That was misquoted. And I think, you should prepare an apology and send it to their attorney and apologize for misspeaking up there when it was kosher. Anybody drinking and shooting guns is not kosher. Okay? So please, yeah, knock it off. And all the rest of the guys who tried to use this situation to promote themselves to the next level to run for elected office, knock it off. Okay? So I just letting you know. No, I'm telling you.
I understand.
I'm just telling you.
And I'm
Because
gonna-
it's a sensitive subject. I wasn't going to say nothing. But again, it came up and that's why I'm speaking.
Senator-
Because we already was told, people on this board here and the board was told, okay, Philip, not to bring up nobody's name. That's why it wasn't going to happen. But everybody seemed to be dropping names. And I just letting you know, like how he said, tragic. We lost a lot of people on the west side in family. And all we need to do is pray and let the family heal. But again, what you said on TV was very, very Very, very not porno. Again, the family told you to leave, and another person that came with you told you to leave, and you didn't leave, and you was on private property making these statements. That's a private road that you was on. They had asked you to leave and the other person to leave.
Okay, Mr. Favela, I'm going to cut you off now.
Yeah,
Thank
cut
you.
me off.
Thank
I
you.
just
very
said you
much.
owed him an apology, sir.
Thank you. Hey, Mr. Pikachu.
All right, Shelby Pikachu, billionaire, mayor's rep. You can say Rick Pikachu's here because Uncle Austin Salcedo, a lot of this room has social media. When we filmed that town hall in Nanakuli, Rick says, the police can't handle alone. Why don't you deal with it? And obviously this incident occurred. Do you have any response from Rick? Because I know he doesn't have Instagram either, neither does Uncle Salcedo, but the rest of the world has been watching. And is there any public statement from Rick? Silence. Asian, I got it. Okay. That's
Well,
a yes.
I'm sorry. So you're asking whether the mayor has a response to
To what he said during the Nanakuli town hall to Uncle Salcedo, the police can't handle it alone. Why don't you guys deal with it? Obviously, our neighborhood is dealing with it physically by themselves. By the time the cops get there, it's already done. And according to Coconut Wireless, we got dirty cops involved, 30 cops there. And the Coconut Wireless talks because the family involved is very sensitive, even though you guys know I'm on social media. I didn't say kukai. But now we want to know the truth because what's going to happen next time? You're going to keep on telling everybody, why don't you deal with it? We're already dealing with it. So I just want Rick to be prepared because he's getting destroyed and slayed on social media.
Is there any more questions from community members? Thank you, Don, for coming in and listening to the concerns. Let's move on to Councilmember Tupola.
Sure. Short. Senator Krabs, Senator Favela, board members, community members, good evening and aloha. Thank you to those of you who have been respectful towards the families that are mourning right now. I just wanted to, I talked to both of them right after it happened. It was just so sad talking to them. So thank you to those of you who aren't involved and stayed uninvolved. Thank you to those of you who weren't involved and chose to not say hurtful or untrue statements, because now's not the time for that. The families are mourning. They're trying to rest. They're trying to recover. They're trying to make it through everything that happened. And I just want to give my aloha and my condolences to them. Briefly, in the packet that I gave you guys, this Saturday, I'll be doing a cleanup right here at sewers. So from bathroom to bathroom. And then after the cleanup, that area, not the whole area, but from bathroom to bathroom will be closed for a month. So you'll see the netting go up and we're going to try to do some restoration in the area through Department of Parks and Recreation. For those who want to come, we're going to be meeting at Burger King across the street, 7:30, 8 o'clock. But I do thank everyone who is involved because there's a lot of helping hands. And thank you to HPD who's going to help starting tomorrow and Friday. The second thing that's in the packet is various letters, official letters that I've written in regards to issues that have come up so that you can see the communication that I'm giving, whether it be to the mayor, to the governor, whoever it is. Lastly, there's two pieces of legislation. I know one is important to the Salcedos and to some of those who are farmers and ranchers. Tomorrow we'll be taking a vote on Bill 64. Bill 64 is the overhaul of the land use code. So it's like 260 pages. And there's a huge section that has agriculture in it. So I met with all the ranchers and farmers in this area to try to put forward amendments. Some of the amendments were taken, some of them were not. I wasn't very happy about how the hearing went because this is a big piece of legislation and the chair said that they're trying to pass it by January. So our stance, my stance, is that we not rush this, that we do it correctly, that we make sure to integrate everything that the farmers and the ranchers need, because that's like our whole community. If they do things that penalize or make up laws that now are gonna cost us fines and stuff, I mean, that's people's livelihoods. We have one of the last egg farms. We have some of the last ranches. And so it's really tough, you know, not a lot of people in the city council have the kind of district I have where there's so much ag land. So tests. So for those of you who have been following it and want to testify, it'll be tomorrow. But my stance is that we try to slow it down and do it correctly. Lastly, it's Bill 41. So it's second reading. It's a bill I introduced in regards to the spade and neuter reimbursements. The city actually has a reimbursement program where if people do the spade and neuter, that they pay for part of it. So currently right now, I'm trying to work on a cat population in Colina at Pokai Bay, and then a dog population at Ulehava, and then also by the rocks by Kahe. So that's why it's important to me, because I walk the beaches a lot and there's just animals everywhere. So I mean, it's so far behind from what we need to do, but I am working with nonprofits and with the Humane Society to get it done. So I have a million other things to say, but I will end there. And I'm open for questions.
Perry.
Sorry, he doesn't have a microphone.
Okay, so Andrew, when the bathroom is closed from bathroom to bathroom, does that mean the water gonna be shut off? Bill 64, it seems that you and Esther is the only one are really engaged in Bill 64. What's the follow-up from Waiʻanae High School? I was disappointed that Senator Crab's picture was not on the flyer. And I think you need to be transparent in what's happening here, because it seems that the homeless, in my opinion, will be utilized to farm the land. So I don't know if they're willing to do that, but it seems that's the direction the city and the state is going, to give the unsheltered people a place to work. However, the problem with that is going back to slavery time. The problem with that, will they file a WC2 form as employees? The problem with that, whoever's running the farm will follow the bylaws with DPP, with the labor laws. You know, these people are very vulnerable and have been traumatized, okay? But I just have a strong sense that the Kahali and the farmers is working in hand. And I don't think these people who will be convinced to go will be treated well. The only reassurance I have is the Lake Twinkles project. That I have confidence. Anything else, I do not have confidence. And the Kupunas come here, talk about Kahali with John Mizuno and whoever else. But you know what? They do not present a model, a place where it's going to go, how many square foot. I think maybe dog kennels probably bigger than that. I see what happens in downtown King Street. I follow up homeless, not only in Hawaii, nationwide, okay? I don't just look very narrow-minded about this issue. And this issue is just gonna grow and grow and grow because of corporate greed. So please don't misconceive or be dishonest how Kahali and farm lots are going to be utilized. Please do not conceive this community, because I tell you, many of us are not stupid.
Board Member Perry, I wrote in 2 of the letters what my stance is, and my stance is that I am supporting Test. Yeah, so I did write specifically what my position is, but I'm not going to speak for John Mizuno. So when he comes up, you can ask him questions. But I felt the same way, and I attended the Puna Council, and I told them, I said, if I was presented with specifics, a location, who's running it, that I could decide whether or not to support it, but I haven't been given those. But when I do, then I can make a decision on whether or not to support it. Senator Crabb, he was invited to the town hall. However, we had a private meeting that ended up 2 days prior to that with all the law enforcement. And so it wasn't a possibility, but we did invite him. I will say that today I got all the notes from the Waiʻanae Town Hall. So for those of you who attended the one that we had at the high school with over 500, if you want me to email you the notes, I can. We summarized it down into 9 pages. After the town hall, I did walk Uluvehi and knock all the doors and talk to people and give them more of the survey. In case they couldn't come, I collected more information. There are also churches that weren't able to attend, and they also gave me their information as well. So we compiled all of those together to come up with a solution. I have a pretty big put together plan, but again, I'm not going to cover that tonight. So I think those are all your questions. I will say with Bill 64, I would agree. I mean, I think only me and Esther are really kind of tracking that. So we'll continue to keep you updated.
Board Member Wilbur.
Hi, Anja. Thank you for coming tonight. So one of the things I wanted to ask, is it possible to submit, I guess, through council and into legislation, a bill that would make it a mandatory that any large gathering or gathering over 50 people, that a law enforcement officer has to be present at that gathering,
Are you talking public or private property?
whether it's just a gathering, period.
So we only have jurisdiction over city properties. We did talk about it, as Corporal Pagan said, about our parks. So yes, we could make it something where at any park, permit that's pulled at the park, that they would have to hire a special duty officer. It would be an admin rule though, not a law. So like DPR would have to put it into their admin rules as part of the permit that's issued, that they would be required to do it, because people who get the permit are required to do all of what is said on there. They pay it, they sign it. So DPR could put it on whenever they want. They don't have to pass it through us. And we did ask them. We did ask them for any gatherings that are larger than a certain number, that they hire a special duty officer, because our beat cops can't handle all of that. They can't handle everything that happens in every beach park and every party. So I can write a letter. You guys can support it. We just need to ask DPR to put it in their admin rules under their park permits.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any community members? Yes, please. Ms. Salcedo.
This doesn't go inside here, it doesn't fit. I guess not. And Council Manager Tupola, I support you in the endeavors as far as Bill 64. This was previously neighborhood board. This was previously Bill 10 from the city from last year. Through Andrew Tupola, she had a town hall over at Punia, addressed all the ranchers and land owners. We protested in a protest against Bill 10. Now, Esther Kiain of Kailua had resurrected and changed it to Bill 64 now. I protest this because not only agriculture is changing the zoning to allow for group living facilities as well through the state, and the city doesn't have no say how it's written in the pages and the paragraphs. The language is written. Whatever state's operation, the city will not have any type of any say or jurisdiction into the operations on the zoning lands. So with that said, conditional use permit major will be out the door. Community impact study will be out the door. Simply, I protest and object to Bill 64 in the entirety. Andrew, when is the meeting tomorrow? Is it too late to provide testimony?
Our full council meeting is tomorrow at 10 a.m. So if you want to testify anything, you can come in person, or you can do it via Zoom, and you don't need to pre-register. You can just show up.
Okay, that's all I have, but objection, protest, delete that Bill 64.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nani?
Aloha, Andrea. In regards to the cleanup that's coming up, I just wanted to, sorry, okay. Hi. I just wanted to know what are going to happen to the people that live at Estores.
So tomorrow they're offering services, but there is going to be the whole other side on the Waiʻanae Coast comp side of the bathroom that we're actually not cleaning over there. So we're doing from bathroom to bathroom because we're cleaning out where that river area is and we're hauling abandoned cars that are in that lot at the end. But the KWO workers as well as various other outreach workers will be out there with HPD tomorrow. So we do send them all the flyers. We walk there, we offer it to everyone. So I run the outreach 4 days a week. We invite everyone to come. There have been some people that have come. We help them with documentation or whatever they need. So everybody who is there does know that we have programs that they can come to and that they can get services and housing when they're ready to do it. So not the whole area, just from bathroom to bathroom.
Thank you. Any other community members? Thank you. Please introduce yourself.
I want to protest Bill 64 also. We should can it. It's not good for us.
Introduce your name, please. Introduce yourself, please.
Peter Mulder from Macau.
Thank you.
I believe we should can it. This is a backdoor thing. They're going to come and it's going to bite us in the ocoles. Okay? All right.
Thank you. Any other community members? Yes, introduce yourself, please.
Aloha, Kalei Salcedo. You know, I really don't like Bill 64, okay, with the ag, because that means an ag landowner can do a CPR on their property and it's going to strip me of my constitutional rights, what I have, what my chickens, my ducks. I am self-sustainable for my family. And I also feed other people. So Bill 64 need to go. The same way with certain people sitting in our office, they need to go. We need to stop the same old,
Thank you, Philip. Thank you.
The same old, never do nothing or justice for a 96792. From Kai Point to Kahina. All we got is broken heart, broken promises, violence. Enough is enough. We need to let people know we are not an ATM machine for our government officials. We are not an ATM machine.
Thank you, Ms. Kalei. Sorry about that, due to time.
Welcome to time. I
Yes.
thank you. Continue. Stand strong and we'll stand behind you.
Okay.
Bill 64 is dead.
Ma'am, introduce yourself, please.
Aaron Kaniakala. I saw on the news that they're spraying in Maui, I think, DT1 for the mosquitoes, and they're they are insinuating that the mosquitoes are going to kill you.
Ma'am.
Better get some vaccinations. Hey, I saw it on the news.
No, I thank you, ma'am. I just was gonna say if there's anything to do with city council member. Thank you,
It
ma'am.
has everything to do with it because that's what they spray. There's a light form, they're getting rid of mosquitoes, egg, all the bugs flying around, has everything to do with it. Egg.
There you go. Yes, that is true. Thank you, ma'am. Do appreciate that. Okay, going to online, Kapua.
This is for our councilwoman, Andrea. I don't know this bill 64, but it sounds like something I should read. And if I can tune in, like what I'm doing now. But regarding, Kauhale, not just for the city, but also for the state, the fake state, Hawaiians, we welcome, especially the needy people, because we're part of those needy people. So I just think that there needs to be parity. How many other council members have as much kauhale as we do? How many other council members have as much safe and sober, clean and sober homes, or even other places that you shelter people? Where's the parity in it? And I think that's what we need to be fighting for as a community, because houselessness is going to probably get worse until government gets a grip on affordable rentals, not by governmental guidelines, but on reality and what the average people make. And that excludes the top 5%, because if we go on them, we're never going to be affordable, which is the situation that we have now. So we need to look for more parity. So I'm going to ask you, our acting senator and the senator that's coming, please pay attention, and as well as our representatives in the House, is that we need parity on helping the houseless and the homeless people. But even more so, I want to advocate for those sheltered people before they get on the streets. And that's the families that are doubling, tripling, quadrupling up, or even the family that's not able to make their rent or make their food, their medicine, take care of those needs, because we don't want those people to end up on the street. So my first go-to is those that have been already out of the house, in their car for 30, 60 days already. And then those people that are that close to being in their cars on the streets. And then we go to those that have been out there for a while and they're able to make it, and we're going to help them as well. But I think we need to prioritize on who we help and how we help them in a more civil manner. And it's not just the way that government does it, because like Tita Nani had shared earlier, you know, government and this colonized way doesn't work for us. So I thank you, Andrea, for everything that you're doing. Apologize for not being able to pay attention and support what you're doing as much.
Thank you, Auntie. And I do run a program called Restore, Reconnect, Revive. So Monday, Thursday, 12 to 1 at River of Life, and Monday, Wednesday, 5 to 6 at the LMS Church. I'll text you the information. I do think you should come to the program and kind of see. We're doing it kind of in the way that you said. And I gave you guys all the flyers for it too, if you guys want to give it out. And it's not just for homeless people. There are people in our community that come. We help to clear up their citations, their warrants, get documentation. We help people with jobs. In fact, this guy sitting right here, Mr. Muraoka, has given people jobs. And so anybody who has employment available, we try to connect people immediately so that they can get to work. Thank you, Chair.
So, one more question for you, Andrea. So I know in Hakimo area, when they restarted expanding the, the sea country, they had put in preservation for agricultural lots on the Hakimo area. Is it possible for that preservations for agricultural properties be implemented for the rest of the Waiʻanae Coast? So we want to be able to preserve our agricultural properties, right?
It's called ag dedication. So anybody that has ag land that wants to dedicate it towards agriculture, you can do the ag dedication. You have to abide by certain rules, which is actually over 70% of your land has to be farmed. And then you actually get a discount on your property taxes.
So-
if you dedicate your land to ag.
Well, no, that's what I was talking about. I mean, because I know, like I says, and maybe you can look at it too, because this was before your time. So up on Hakimo Road, on Apua Road, and all those houses or properties back there are all ag land. So that was put in where they will never be turned into residential, or they could never be reclassified except to be left as ag land for preservations for agricultural purposes. So just making sure if there's something that can be implemented on the city side.
I can give you a map of what
To that.
is. I can give you a map of whatever is preserved as ag, and everyone as private owners can do it anytime they want.
Okay.
They can preserve it and dedicate their land to it.
So, well, I understand that, but trying to do it as a whole block area because
So we can't like take away people's property rights and tell them that their land is now like this. The property owners have to decide that. So
but
I
it's
can-
ag land, right? No, that's what I'm saying,
Yes.
though. It's zoned as ag land, so I'm not trying to take away their rights.
Yeah,
I'm
but if
just
you're
saying-
preserving it and you want it to be in perpetuity, the owner has to be in agreement to that. So I can show you which ones are already on the map. And then if other people want to do it, they can do it at any time, is dedicate their land to ag.
Thank you, I understand that. Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Bye-bye.
No question. Just want to make sure that you're going to stay here for Kalahale because it's super important that you hear and we speak.
Thank you. Due to limited time, we're gonna go ahead and push through 5.1 to 5.5 to be able to give their reports. But I'm pretty sure a lot of people are here for the other events that is listed on community presentations. So,
Chair Perry,
yes, Perry.
you said last month that our representative will be pushed up. So please do not go back on your word. You promised them that last month because we ran out of time. We're always running out of time. Thank you.
That, hey, Board Member Hurts, Jeff at the end of the table. That was, my doing, just so the agenda was not all over the place with certain reports in other places compared to others. I kept the entire section. I just moved this section up rather than just the single reports. That way the agenda was still organized for the residents and for the board to follow more easier. So that was my doing. Thank you.
But I have question for Congressmember Joe Takuda. She didn't have an opportunity to speak at the Nanakuli board.
Okay,
And if she's online, I would like to share my concern with her. Thank you.
thank you, Board Member Perry. Okay, moving on to 5.1, Congressman Joe Takuda, please. Joe Takuda, any representative for Joe Takuda? Okay, no show. Moving on to 5.2, Governor Green's representative. Governor Green's representative.
Yes, aloha.
Online.
Hi, aloha. Diamond Badajos here, Information and Community Relations Officer with the Homelands on behalf of the governor's team. Aloha Chair, aloha board members and community members. I have no report to share today, but I'm certainly standing by for any questions from either the board or the community. Mahalo.
Any questions from board members? Okay. Okay, moving on to, there is no questions, any concerns from community members? Jermaine's? Okay, Jermaine changed her color. Jermaine, online?
Thank you, Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Mahalo. Aloha, Diamond. Thank you for coming this evening. Diamond, regarding the the Waiʻanae Library, can you check on the status of the glass door being repaired? And report that next month. Mahalo.
Thank you, Jermaine. Any other community members with concerns?
Chair, I make a motion.
Okay. Tiana Wilbur making a motion.
I make a motion that we defer all questions to the end of the meeting if our elected officials can stick around to wait for those questions in hopes that we get to the end of our agenda.
Thank you.
Motion.
Second motion. Mr. Kalei Wilbur, board member, has seconded the motion. All in favor?
Perry oppose.
All right, roll call.
Okay, so just to clarify the motion, Tiana, one more time, it's for the Q&A for the rest of the elected officials to be pushed to the end of the meeting following whenever we end off the meeting?
They could also ask their questions at community concerns, which is normally what happens in our meetings.
Okay.
Why are you guys giving the presenters priority over our elected officials?
It's not.
They waited, they were deferred last month.
Are we
Okay,
opening
let's
this up for
show
discussion?
patriotism. Let's stick to what was said last month. Thank you.
Chair, point of order. We are currently not in any violation of our bylaws or Robert's Rules of Order. We are simply just deferring questions. We want community to ask their questions, but we don't want a repeat of not going through our entire agenda like we did last month. We are trying to get through our agenda.
Okay, so following the discussion, I will be doing a roll call vote in the order that I do have. Please use your microphone to vote. Board Member Endo? He said aye.
Aye.
Board Member Lanford?
Canelo.
Abstain? Okay, thank you. Board Member Perry?
Oppose.
Board Member Vahilani?
Aye.
Board Member Clay Wilbur? Board Member Tiana Wilbur?
Aye.
Board Member Muraoka? Aye. And Chair Gano? Yep. Motion carries with a vote of 6 ayes, 1 nay, 1 abstain to hold the Q&A following the ending of the meeting. Thank you.
Yes, 5.3, Senator Crab.
There we go. Aloha mai kako, members of the neighborhood board and members of the community. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. My name is Senator Cross McConney Crab. I would just like to note that this is my first meeting presenting as senator. On July 30th, 2024, I was appointed to the state senate to fill former Senator Mailishima Bukuro's seat to the Hawaii State Senate District 22. I did come with a newsletter last meeting, and that's the same same one I'll be presenting this evening. Apologies, I was not able to finish my September one yet, but once I get that done, I will be sharing it with you folks as soon as possible. I would like to note that I am filling in for the rest of former Senator Shimabukuro's term, which is until November 5th. And I know that that's a short time, but that's still a lot of time to, do something. So while I am in office, I am here to be utilized for anyone's needs, whether it be meeting to discuss issues, meeting to prepare or draft legislation for the following legislative session. Or even just to talk story about anything. I really am trying to be present. I would like to note that I've been attending every single neighborhood board within my district, which also includes the Kapolei neighborhood board. I've been attending almost every meeting that people have been inviting me to, unless I had prior engagements preventing me from doing so. I want to keep the community informed as much as possible for my activities, so please feel free to call our office, email, or follow on social media. I'm trying to be present as much as possible. I would like to follow up on a couple of things. The neighborhood board members, some of the neighborhood board members, as well as the community, has asked for me to help facilitate some town halls, and so depending on the topic of the town halls, I'm meeting with the neighborhood board subcommittee chairs, as well as some of the other neighborhood board members first. And then we are currently planning to put together more structured town halls that is very community led. And so that was the request from the neighborhood boards and from the community, and we are trying to accommodate as much as possible. I did receive some requests from the board members, such as board member Endo's request to figure out the drainage issues at Waiʻanae High School. I am working on that, Mr. Endo or board member Endo, and we'll get you an update as soon as possible. But yes, please, board, feel free to reach out for any questions, concerns, but for the most part, that is my report. Mahalo.
Thank you, Senator Crab. Okay. Moving on to our next agenda, State Rep Cedric Gates. Any representative for Cedric Gates? See you online? No. Okay. Moving on to the next topic, State Representative Darius Kila. Is Darius Kila available?
Aloha board. I'm so sorry I'm not there. I'm actually under the weather. I got sick on Sunday, so I'm getting rent. I don't want to take up too much time. I just want to invite you folks. Well, first of all, I keep our community in prayer. Thank you guys for attending the DHHL town hall. That was a really good one. Next one is September 16th with me, Councilmember Tupola, HPD, and DLE 630 Nanakuli High School. Mahalo.
Thank you, Darius. I appreciate your time and your attention to our board and coming in and presenting. Before we move on to our public presentation, we have a hard cutoff time at 9 o'clock. So, which means that we have less than a half an hour to present. So if we could just keep the presentation to the presenters and the supporting agencies that is here, and then we'll go ahead and bring the rest of the attention to our housing committee that is scheduled for, when is our housing committee scheduled for, guys?
Next week, Tuesday.
Next week, Tuesday, at 6:30 at the Satellite City Hall?
It'll follow after the education.
After education, okay.
So it might be around 7:30, 8 o'clock.
7:30 at the Satellite City Hall, right?
No, we're meeting at my church.
Okay, Assembly of God in Makaha.
Right behind the 7-Eleven.
So that would be item number 9 for the board committees. And we will try to, I just wanted to bring that up before we actually move forward to the community presentations. Okay, so community presentations, again, we have to end this at 9, guys. Point 6.1, John Mizuno and Eric Ford for Kahale updates.
Hello. You know what? We heard them guys last month. Let the community concerns go first, because only get so much people gonna talk. Then they can get the rest of the time.
Thank you,
at the
Mike
end.
Relay. I appreciate
Please.
that. But we've actually put our agenda out and we need to follow our agenda. Thank you.
Point of order, Chair. Point of clarification. So am I recognized?
Yes, Board Member.
So our agenda shows that we're finished at 9:30? Or
I
is it 9
understand
o'clock?
that it's 9 o'clock. It was a misprint and
Okay.
it was, we have to be out by 9:30. So our board needs to end at 9. Thank you.
Okay, Chair
Thank you.
Perry.
Yes, Board Member Perry.
Okay, so in the interest of time, 6.1, go to the Housing Committee. Thank you. Then they can take 3 hours. Thanks.
Moving on. Thank you for your point, Board Member Perry. Moving to community presentation. John
Chair,
Mizuno.
point of clarification. So for 6.1, John Mizuno, all we're needing to do is state the PIG requirements so that we can continue this discussion in the permitted interaction group. Because we already had a presentation from this. So for sake of time, can we state what we need to as a board? That's all that's missing is the requirements that we need to state on record so that we can have these permitted interaction meetings. So we don't need to take the whole 10 minutes. And we can get to community concerns quicker.
Again, yes, we understand. So John, please present and then I will go ahead and follow up with the PIG. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Ganaban. Appreciate you. I'll try to keep this extremely short. For US Vets presentation, if we can keep it down to about a minute and a half because we want to bring it down. To the committee members, thank you. I made a mistake. I wanted to be clear. I said 600 units. Please understand that's a 6, 7, 8-year plan. We would love to house as many people as we can, but it's going to be gradual. If we can get 100, maybe 150 homeless off the beaches in a year, that would be considered a success. I wanted to also, on behalf of myself, Rep. Waiʻanae, my office, and some of our presenters, just share our heartfelt prayers for healing for the Waiʻanae community. I wanted to introduce to you Karen Awana, who's a good friend of mine, to sum up some of our thoughts.
Thank you so much, John. Aloha, everyone. Aloha, Chair, board members, community, elected officials. My name is Karen Awana, and I'm so pleased that I can be here tonight. I had also served on the Waiʻanae Neighborhood Board at one time, and I've over 20 years of community service to this community. And one thing that I've learned is a lot of times you come in with these preconceived notions, but sometimes we need to just listen to the mana'o and the information. And for example, in Olelo No'eau, A'ohe pau ke ike ka halau ho'okahi. All knowledge is not taught in the same school. So many times we come with these preconceived notions and ideals, but just take a step back and listen to what the presentation is all about. And we as a community, as an ohana, we can tweak it to make it our own so that it can be more reflective how we want to see our community. And that's what I'd like to share with you. Mahalo.
Thank you, Karen. Chair, I'd like to, and committee members, I'd like to introduce US Vets. We're going to be opening up this kauhale next month. Tanya Brown.
Aloha mai kākou, neighborhood board, community members, as well as our elected officials. My name is Tanya Brown. I am the executive director for US Vets Waiʻanae. We offer 6 programs, 3 that are across the island of Oahu in scattered homes and 3 right here at Pai'olu Kaiaulu. I've been asked to come and talk to you tonight about Kulia i Kanu'u, which is our 7th program. At Kulia i Kanu'u, with the partnership with Mark Development, as well as the Governor's Office of Homelessness with John Mizuno and his team, we're going to be offering 19 emergency shelter beds in a dormitory. In addition to that, we're also going to be offering 12 permanent housing units, anywhere from a studio to 3-bedroom. But in addition to that, we're going to be offering rapid rehousing services through our West Side Coalition, thanks to our partnerships with other service providers and Hawaii Community Foundation. We're also going to be offering homeless prevention services, so keeping folks from ever having to experience homelessness to begin with, just like Auntie Kupua on teams here had asked about. We're going to be offering workforce development, aftercare case management, as well as housing. So we're grateful for the opportunity to serve our community. Thank you.
I know there are questions on how many kauhale and how many beds and how big. I can answer those towards the end, it'll be less than a minute. At this time, though, I would be remiss if I did not bring up Raquel Toyozaki to the mic. This is a team of, we've got the second highest ranking member of the fire department that is here. We've got the coach for Kamehameha who won a championship in 2009, played for UH. We've got a master builder, contractor. We've got a team that they saw what we're doing on the West Coast, the West Side. This could be done in less than a minute. I just want to recognize the members that are volunteering their time to help us out.
Aloha mai kakou. I'm Raquel Toyozaki, and I'm one of a contractor, like in construction, and have a 20-year background. But when John presented this kauhale idea, we said that we needed to talk to the Waiʻanae community, because Auntie Perry, you're right. We have to find out what the community wants, right? We have to know what you guys want, because even though I'm from Waiʻanae and he's from the North Shore and he's from the East Side, Waiʻanae is different. But we wanted to be part of this because we have so much aloha for the Waiʻanae community, because Oahu, we're a family, believe it or not. You know, we're indigenous people. I agree with a lot of people here, right? So we want to give back to the community. And we like to work with you guys. And John gave us this opportunity. And so we jumped at it to see how we can help Oahu, because, you know, I understand how you guys don't trust the government. Believe me, my Kamaka family got all their 187 acres taken away through eminent domain. So I understand the distrust of the government. So I like to be part of this to help build a community, to help the people, especially when the state is offering this. So this is our love to you guys, to bring the East Side, the North Side, the West Side, and we all come together with the West Side and, you know, become one unit. Kia kahi, right? One. Anyway, much love and aloha.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce Eric Ford and Uncle Rocky. Please come up.
Aloha board, Mr. Chairman, Rocky Naiole, Waiʻanae Coast. Anyway, I fully support this project. And in back of me would be the Waiʻanae Kupuna Council, and we won't stop until it's done. Thank you.
Aloha, Eric Ford, John Mizuno's office. The state is behind Kapuna. That's the number one people that we want to put in housing. Another is infant to 18. That's a secondary one. But right now we're focused with Kapuna Council and we're going to back them. Thank you. Aloha.
Thank you, Eric. I'd be remiss. A good friend of mine, David Stant, Emmett Kane, Sean Toyozaki, Raquel Toyozaki. Just wanted to make sure you guys had their names. At this time, I can do this in a minute. Did you want me to just identify the kauhale that we're looking at? Waiʻanae?
Please,
Or
yes. Go ahead and do it. Introduce yourself. Take your time. Introduce who you need to. And then
okay.
go ahead and speak.
No,
on
no,
it.
I'm pretty much done.
Okay.
If you want, unless it's you're crunch for time, I can step off. But if you want, I can identify the 4 kauhale we're looking at in this area.
Yes, please do so.
Okay, again, I'll Pikachu's giving me a thumbs up, so I better go. You just heard from Tanya Brown and US Vets. If we have questions, Tanya's here. This will house about 60 people that are homeless, 12 homeless or houseless families in the Waiʻanae area. We're going to get off the street, and 19 individuals. We're getting close to 60. This is a big thing. Opening will be in October. Governor will be there. We're going to invite Mayor Blangiardi. Second, Cedar Church is already in existence. It's on Waiʻanae Valley Road. Y'all know about it. Currently, there's about 60 to 70 homeless there. We are working with Pastor Kim. We'd like to build some tiny homes and some larger homes, potentially, and this may be a couple years, so I know we're not going to get 600 beds in 6 months. That's not realistic. So I apologize for that misstatement last time. We're looking to house potentially 120 to maybe 130, but that might take a year or two. I just wanted to show my cards, be very transparent to all of you. Next, there's the Assembly of God. We're still in the works with them. Potentially 24 families. The housing would be plastic igloos. If you look at the shelter on the internet, you'll find out what they look like. They're actually pretty big. These are for single moms with keiki. 24 units. So we're looking at potentially housing 100 individuals, families, moms with children, keiki, single moms. Finally, everyone knows about Auntie Twinkle's Place. We're looking, you saw James tonight, we're looking to help them with their move Mauka and help them. They currently have about 200. So that's our list. And I see, Councilmember Tupola here, saw Senator Favela, Senator Crabb. I'm here to answer any questions as well as Tanya, any of our members. That's what we have here. We may be looking for other potential kahale. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Any comments from board members?
Yeah, again, comment.
Go ahead, Board Member Waiʻanae.
Hey, John, so the three sites you was sharing, was the other site that Nani Peterson and Dana Newman was working on, the ones right next to Mailili Stream, is that part of the state's inventory?
I'm not certain which one you're talking about. There are a number of places that we're looking at. The White House, I got it. The White House with the flag and the beautiful writing on the
With the
cover.
high Hawaii.
Yeah, Pikachu, I like that place. Guys, I've been talking to Councilmember Tupola. We're kind of not ready. There's some health concerns. There might be asbestos in the building. We're not exactly ready to go yet on that one. So the White House, at first we looked at it, we said, hey, looks like we might be able to do something here. But at this point, in full transparency, it's kind of on a side now. It's at this point, it's a no-go. I apologize. It's probably a no-go.
No, but is it in the state's inventory, that INA right there?
Yes, you're right. It is state property, Department of Land and Natural Resources, I believe.
Okay, I was just asking because one of my community members, longtime community members, called me up earlier today, and he brought up memories that Pops used to be Pops Garrett, and they used to train boxing over there, and it was on that INA. So he was just concerned if that was Pops Limbs INA, but you just confirmed that it's
Yeah, we looked at it, state.
Thank you.
Again, we're still working with Councilmember Tupola, so we'll see. But good question. Thank you. Thank you.
Perry, have a question.
Go ahead, Board Member. And then after that would be Board Member Chris.
Okay, the vets say that they have a prevention program. What's happening now, there's a outflow of unsheltered people occupying the Waiʻanae Neighborhood Community Center. I'm not sure if they're part of that group. There's also streets parking, that 2-lane, which is blocking traffic. If that belongs to your clients, put it on your property. You blocking city access. Nanakuli board does not want kahali. So that person that made that comment, this is not my first rodeo. There's a lot of always BS, and people say how much they love Waiʻanae. It's because the money. There's millions and millions of dollars that's addressing the homeless issue from the federal level down. This is where the money coming from. So please, please don't be disingenuous that you love our community. What you love is to preserve your project.
Miss Perry.
Thank you.
Board Member Perry, thank you. Board Member Richard. Board Member Richard.
I think, John, the program is not totally rejected from our community. It's just there's still a lot of questions, and I brought this up the last meeting you guys came out to, and until you guys have a formulated committee or group together, so the interested parties can actually find out where you headed because we have people that are interested. We have people that have properties, that have families living in tents and little shacks on their properties right now, you know, it's not a bad project. It's just a project that we want to get more input from or into. And when you mention how you have these unwed mothers and this and that and whatever, our concern again is what Officer Pagan brought up was earlier, a couple meetings back, that the homeless people that don't want to go to a home, they still gonna end up taking up our beaches or, you know, the areas and stuff. So it's not a just one size fit all program that you guys have, but it's gonna take different committees or different groups from our community to try to figure this out. So, you know, your program is not totally, we don't want it. Your program is something that we want to be more interested in if we have input, or at least let us know what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I've identified the 4 Kauhale that we're looking at right now. In addition, I didn't want to bring this up, but because it's been brought up, if you look at the Civil Beat article, we brought it, I'll hand it over to you in a minute. And we are actually working with Mayor Blangiardi, Governor Green and Blangiardi. Everyone knows it's a team. Sam and I work team. In the article, he's saying that at least 1,000 people will be swept. Okay, so if they're going to be swept, we need Kauhale, we need beds, we need a safe zone. So I'm just saying, let's be akamai about this. If we're going to sweep someone, everybody here knows it's a waste of city and state money. If you sweep me, homeless guy, because 1 week or less than 1 week, I'm going to be right back at the same spot I was before. So what we're asking is, you know this is going to come. Let's make sure we have Kauhale throughout our county to ensure we have beds for our people that will be swept.
Chair Perry.
Wait, Ms. Perry. Mr. Mizuno, you know, you're using all the right words, so I'll give you thumbs up for that. But I'm
Thank
going to
you.
use your words against you now.
Okay.
You use the governor, you use the mayor, you guys get all of that. Now I'm going to say this again. I'm not against the mission. I'm against the location. Why are you guys so hard pressed on making the Kauhales in Waiʻanae first? Go build the Kauhales all around the island and build Waiʻanae last. That way, when the Waiʻanae's Kauhales are built, go and house Waiʻanae's people.
Thank you.
Go build all around the island. You had all the answers. We akamai, we get the governor and the mayor's support. Go build outside first.
Thank you.
Can you answer that?
I
I don't want to thank you. I need an answer.
Yeah, no, I'm not, no need to thank. Let's be honest. Let's be real. You're saying build Kauhale. Okay, wait. Guys, 1 + 1 = 2. Do the math.
You're getting pushback from Evile as well.
And we're putting Kauhale in Evile. That's about 1,000 homeless and nearly 1,000 homeless in the on the Waiʻanae coast. That's where the Kauhale are going. I don't know what else to say. If you're upset at that, I'm sorry. We're not bringing homeless.
Okay, please wait. Put us into time. Board Member Perry.
Okay, you know, ladies and gentlemen, the governor put homeless people in the former university, Tokai University. Homeless people. What we getting? What we getting, people? Kahali, that we got a share bathroom. Yeah, maybe a dog kennel, right? So we need honesty here. You know, we prefer honesty than BS. Thank you. And
Tokai
by the way,
University has
Kelly,
120 people, 120 people who are homeless. And by the way, a number of those units, they have to share restrooms. It's like a dormitory, communal style. But with Tokai University, we're able to, and this is all targeted at families, 120 families with keiki were able to get off the street. So you want to be real, that's real.
Hey, I just want to just let everybody know that the governor basically has a golden pen and he's giving it to this guy, and that golden pen is gonna allow him to work with us or not work with us. The call holiday they're talking about is statewide. They are gonna go to the outer islands. And I tell you right now, Maui is in dire need of this kind of action. Okay, so do not, I know we're all in favor, yeah, go elsewhere and other, but be careful what we push or ask for, because when that golden pen comes back to our community, we will not have a say in it, and we will be stuck with it. So just be careful. That's why they're here, to try and talk with us and try and work something out with us. And we can be a part of that, which is unprecedented. It's never had happened before, where the government's gonna come and ask the community to give feedback and so I'm asking you to keep an open mind, but an understanding that if we cannot come to consensus, there is going to be a position that these guys will have that we are just gonna have to live with. And I don't want that to happen. I would like to at least steer this ship and be able to have that input and be able to be part of something that is beneficiary to people in Waiʻanae and the homeless community throughout the state, to have Kauhale in their respected neighborhoods and their area of ohana. That's just keep an open mind on that one, you guys. Let's not get too excited about what's being presented here. There's still a lot more to be done, and we still have to put the pig together.
One more board member, Tiana Wilbur, and then I'll speak a little bit, and then I'll push it over to community online first, and then the community in person. Thank you. Go ahead, board member Wilbur, Tiana.
So guys, this is a very complex issue within our community that we've been dealing with since I was still in high school, still a teenager. And nothing has resolved this issue. We started a homeless shelter that was supposedly temporary, and then it stayed. I don't know how much of us understand or have ever taken the time to read an emergency proclamation. But if you guys think our Constitution is going to protect us, or that our laws in place is going to protect us, the emergency proclamation seizes all of that. So what I want to emphasize in this discussion is their presence, asking for community's engagement. They're not telling us how, what, when, where, how, why. They're asking the community to engage community on what we need. That is the key word. What do we need? They don't need to do that. They can come in and bulldoze our community wherever they want to. And that's what I don't want. And that's what I'm sure the entire community doesn't want. So when we're saying we don't want this, then tell them what we want. Please express what it is that we need to house our homeless people. If federal funding is involved in that, we cannot dictate where it goes. But it mentioned it on the news. I don't know if you guys can confirm that or show us proof, but where is Waikiki Vista? Because you guys said you guys are housing
We are
people there.
actually running out of time, so I'm going to end this right now. So before I end this, our meeting, I do apologize for the rest of the community. However, so what we're going to do, because our board is restricted with time and how we can hold things, I am going to ask that the housing committee be brought to our housing committee on that Tuesday next week, but followed up with the Kapuna Council. The Kapuna Council has been bringing these issues up for a while. That way it brings it back to community. It does not, and that way we can bring it back to the board next month for more discussion. So we're going to do that for now, and it'll keep it open discussion within the community and brings it back to the community to answer these issues. So the pig, we are not going to do the pig because we have tried that. Is restrictions on the pig that I cannot offer as a community event. So the pig only restricts 3 members to speak in silence, and we don't want that. We want the community to be engaged. We want that to be open. So we have tried that in our past month, and it has not worked. So we'll bring it back to Kapuna Council, back to housing to discuss, and back to our board to present. Thank you. Appreciate that. And then also for Pastor Allen, and his, project and moving forward, we're gonna move that to next month's. I do apologize. Pastor Allen had already texted me and we're okay with that.
Chair,
Thank
can I,
you.
Chair, can I say something just quick?
Board Member Waiʻanae.
September 15th, 10 o'clock up at Pu'uhonua Waiʻanae is Auntie Twinkle's whole level celebration of life. So just wanted to put that out there on the 15th. It starts at 10 o'clock.
Okay, meeting adjourned.
And you get free ulu over there if you guys like ulu. Take ulu.